Most of us think sun damage ends the moment we leave the sun, but it doesn't. I came across a research paper that completely changed how I think about sunscreen. And by the end of this video, you'll understand what scientists discovered accidentally and why most people choose sunscreen the wrong way and the simple checklist I use now before buying any sunscreen. The story starts with something scientists thought they already understood. Sunlight hits your skin, UV rays damage your DNA, you leave the sun, the damage stops. Simple, right? At least that's what everyone thought. So, a group of researchers decided to take a closer look at what happens after UV exposure. They exposed skin cells to UV light, measured the DNA damage, everything looked fine. But instead of ending the experiment over there, they kept measuring. And that's where the things got weird. Look at this graph. The researchers expected the line to flatten because the UV exposure was already over. Instead, the damage kept increasing, and that too for hours. The UV light was gone, but the DNA damage kept going up. When I first saw this graph, I honestly thought I was reading it completely wrong. Because if the UV light was gone, where was this extra DNA damage coming from? That became the scientists' next question too. So they started digging deeper and deeper, and they noticed something very, very interesting, at least for me. The delayed damage appeared mainly in cells containing melanin. Now that's surprising, because most of us know melanin as the pigment that protects our skin from UV radiation. So why was melanin showing up in the middle of this mystery? The researchers kept investigating, and eventually they found evidence that UV exposure wasn't just causing immediate damage, it was also starting the chain reaction inside the cell. Think about it as pushing the first domino. You only touch one domino, but the rest keeps falling long after your hand is gone. And that's very similar to what researchers think was happening here. The sunlight started the process, but the chemistry kept running afterward. And here is the simplified version. UV exposure creates highly reactive molecules inside skin cells. These molecules can interact with melanin and melanin fragments. And the researchers found evidence that these reactions could continue creating DNA damage even after the UV exposure had ended. Think of it like a cast iron pan. You take it off the stove, the flame is gone, but the pan still stays hot. The heat doesn't disappear immediately. The researchers think something similar was happening inside the skin. The sunlight was gone, but some of the chemistry it started was still active. And that is the moment this paper completely changed how I thought about sunscreen. Because suddenly sunscreen wasn't just about preventing sunburn, it was about reducing how much damage your skin has to deal with in the first place. And that's when I realized I had been choosing the sunscreen the wrong way. Like most people, I only looked at SPF. SPF 30, SPF 50, SPF 100. Bigger the number, better the protection. Right? But not exactly. This paper reminded me that SPF is only part of the story. SPF mainly tells us about UVB protection, but UVA matters too. In fact, UVA makes up most of the radiation that reaches our skin. So now I look for three things. First one, the broad spectrum protection, because I want protection from both UVA and UVB. Second, at least SPF 30 or higher. For most people, SPF 30 to SPF 50 is already an excellent range. And third, a sunscreen you actually wear consistently, because the best sunscreen in the world does absolutely nothing sitting in your bathroom drawer. Consistency beats perfection every single time. And if you're wondering which sunscreens check these boxes, I've listed a few affordable options in the description, so you don't have to spend hours researching labels and ingredients yourself. And by the way, if you enjoy learning skincare through actual research papers, not just by looking at the marketing claims, consider subscribing Behind the Skin, because that's exactly what we're trying to do here. But honestly, the biggest lesson I took from this paper wasn't about sunscreen, it was about curiosity. The researchers weren't trying to prove the damage continued after UV exposure. They were just simply looking at the data. Then they noticed something that did not make sense. A graph that shouldn't have looked the way it did. Instead of ignoring it, they followed up with a question. And that question led to one of the most fascinating discoveries in the skin biology. The next time you step out of the sun, remember this. Some of the most important things happening inside your skin are the things you can't see. And that's exactly why understanding the science behind it matters a lot. Because the goal isn't just protecting your skin from what you can see today, it's protecting it from what might still be happening underneath your skin long after the sunlight is gone.